can take a sunrise.
The views expressed on the following broadcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. The dialogue on this show should not be considered as medical, psychiatric, or professional advice and is delivered only as personal opinions from the host, co-host, and guests. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here are your co-hosts, Nathan A. and the Monty Man.
That's right. Yes, sir. Learn to be the light. All right. The light shone in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Why? Because light is always more powerful than darkness. Darkness must flee, and we hope that we shed a little light into your day today. Nathan is not with us today. He was yesterday, but this week he's out chasing Bambi. He's trying to get his elk. But what's been really cool is Marco Ronzi from Scottsdale, Arizona is here visiting, and he's been helping me co-host some of the shows. Marco, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm doing very well. Happy to be in Oregon, Money.
It's so good to have you with us, and what fun. And we're going to be talking about the beginnings of the chapter, How It Works in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, this week on Open Forum. And, how does it work? And what is it, anyway, that we're talking about? And so we're gonna be discussing that. On yesterday's show, Nathan and I talked about some of the misconceptions that people have about 12-step fellowships. And, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not so right. And so I thought we'd go a little deeper today and talk about, this is chapter 5 in the book, affectionately called the Big Book. It's actually, the title of the book is Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what it's titled. But let me preface this show by saying we do not represent AA. We are not claiming membership in AA. So why are we talking about it? Because we love AA. So there you go. And if you want to know in detail about any association we have with any particular 12-step fellowship, you are free to email me at take12radio@comcast.net, and I'll be glad to disclose that information to you privately. And there's reasons for that. And one of these days, we'll talk about some of those reasons when we talk about traditions and that kind of thing. But this is Internet radio. This is media. We are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. So don't get your tradition panties all in a bunch. Okay. So we're gonna listen to our from our brand new sponsor, the folks at Free by the Sea. We're gonna listen to that promo. And then after that is the Recovery Northwest Project promo, because coming up, in fact, Marco and I are going up on Thursday, and we are going to be Friday and Saturday at the Red Lion Inn in Vancouver with the Monty Man's microphone for the Recovery Northwest Project, and that encompasses the 2-day convention, and then we go on over to the World Convention of Oxford House called Oxfest 2014, and the Hands Across the Bridge ceremony. So we're going to hear a promo about that. So let's take care of that, get that out of the way so we can jump into some Take 12 trivia, have a little bit of fun, and then get into how it works. So don't go away. Marco and I will be right back. Hey there, it's the Monty Man here, and I am proud to announce our brand new sponsor here at Take 12 Radio. The Free by the Sea Sunset View Drug and Alcohol Recovery Center, located in beautiful Ocean Park, Washington. This facility is amazingly gorgeous. But what's even more impressive is the integrity of the staff and the treatment provided for those wishing to recover from drug and alcohol addiction. I really want you to check this out. Visit www.freebythesea.com or call 800-272-9199. The folks at Free by the Sea have a passion for presenting the solution to addiction for you and your loved one. So please visit today, www.freebythesea.com, or call toll-free 800-272-9199.
Hey, dude.
Hey, bro.
Man, I am so excited about this year's National Recovery Month.
Why, bro?
Because, dude, on September 12th, 13th, and 14th, hundreds of recovery folks will be gathering in Vancouver, Washington in unity and purpose, dude.
Pardon me, bro, but what purpose?
Aw, dude, to celebrate the gift of recovery. Pay attention.
Really? What time, bro?
At 9 a.m. Friday morning, September 12th, an incredible recovery conference will kick off the event at the Red Lion Inn in Vancouver, Washington, dude. Exhibitors, speakers, and presenters will all come together as we break down the stigma of addiction, dude.
Yeah? Then what happens?
On Sunday, we'll walk on over to Esther Short Park for the powerful Hands Across the Bridge ceremony, dude, followed by Oxfest. You know, the sober living folks.
Can I bring my buddies?
Everyone's invited, dude, and it's free.
It's free?
Dude, what did I just say?
For details on all the events at the Recovery Northwest Project, visit recoverynw.org. Supported in part by the Clark County Department of Community Services, Alcohol and Drug Program, and the Clark County Substance Abuse Advisory Board. Yes. Simon and Garfunkel. Bridge over troubled waters in preparation for the Hands Across the Bridge ceremony coming up on Sunday, September 14th, where thousands, literally thousands of people, I tell you, will be standing on the I-5 bridge that crosses over the Columbia Gorge between Vancouver and Portland, Vancouver, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. This is National Recovery Month, and so we're going to be up there. We're going to be doing the deal. If you happen to run into us, well, all the better for us because we get to make new friends. All right, Marco Ronzi is my co-host this week on Open Forum. And it is time to play that most hated game on the internet today. Yes, it is. Take 12 trivia. All right, yeah, there's enough of that. All right, okay, this week's trivia, there's no multiple choice. So, Marco's one of these rare individuals who is blessed because he does not watch television. He has a DVD player, and he's blessed because many of us are trapped by that boob tube. We just are. But I think he may get these right because they're not necessarily, let's see here. Well, two of them are a movie. Mm-hmm. One of them was a television show, but it's an older television show. Okay. And one, well, two of them are television shows, actually. The bonus one is. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play a sound bite. Mm-hmm. All right. And you don't have to get the right movie if it's, 1, 2, or 3, because this particular one had several. Just the title, the main title. And here's number 1 soundbite for you on Take 12 Trivia. What movie, Marco Ronzi, is this from?
Let's put a smile on that face.
Batman. Probably the new Batman.
Let's put a smile on that face.
Probably which one?
The Joker, The Dark Knight Rises.
I think you're right.
Oh, thank you.
So you get a bell. Okay, now here's something that's really interesting about that. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was not the actor that played that part. That was my son, Colin. He did a good job, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that bizarre?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He does a really good Joker. A really good Joker. Okay. Here is trivia soundbite number 2. This is also from a movie.
Yep. I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, man, you're good. You're good. Matthew Broderick, let's hear it one
I
more
was
time.
raised in the 80s,
Yep.
so.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while,
love it.
you could miss it.
Yes, yeah, I just that is my favorite movie of all time.
Right.
Always has been. So very good. You get a bell again, Marco. Okay, all right. Okay, here is soundbite number 3.
And you see, he dreamed that the island was going down into the sea.
Well,
It was
let me
all
tell
breaking
them,
up.
huh?
Well, but I'm the skipper.
But it's my nightmare.
Yes, that's a television show. Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island is correct. Let's hear it one more time.
And you see, he dreamed that the island was going down into the sea.
Well,
It was
let me
all
tell
breaking
them,
up.
huh?
Well, but I'm the skipper.
But it's my nightmare.
Yes, Bob Denver, it is your nightmare. And that, of course, was Gilligan Island, so you get a bell again. Oh, boy, Nathan's going to be mad because he gets so many wrong. Okay, and here is your bonus soundbite.
All right.
Here we go.
I realize now why your grades have been so pathetic. We haven't challenged you. And that's why I've changed your schedule, Zach.
Advanced calculus?
Uh-huh.
Is that Back to School?
Your
Rodney
heart's in the
Dangerfield.
Your heart's in the right place, but no. Kinda, sorta. It's a series. It's a TV series. Here, let's hear it one more time.
I realize now why your grades have been so pathetic. We haven't challenged you. And that's why I've changed your schedule, Zach.
Advanced calculus?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell is correct. Yes, very good. You did redeem yourself. That's it for this week's Take 12 trivia. Useless trivia. All right, that's enough of that. I said that's enough of that. Thank you. Wasn't that fun?
Yes, that was very fun.
People, I had a guy email me one time. He says, "You know what? You know why I don't listen to your show anymore? Because I'm not into tuning into recovery media that's about a circus act."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Wow.
Yeah, really?
You have no fun?"
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Does everything you talk about have to be surrounded around the steps and meetings?
Yeah. And,
everything?
Yeah, and I think recovery is about joy, so having joy and fun.
Yeah.
So,
why not?
Why
Why not? I don't know how much fun anybody had watching Saved by the Bell, but what can I say? Okay, so the topic of this week is how it works. What is it? What is it, Marco?
It is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous in the Big Book as outlined in the Big Book. And there's a difference between the fellowship today and the program.
Yeah.
The program is found in the directions that are found in the Big Book. And the Big Book, it was written in 1939. For people who don't know, they used... AA started in 1935, and the only thing that they used was the Bible from 1935 to 1939. Then Bill Wilson came up with the Big Book, and but the fellowship, I hear different things from the fellowship, like create your own higher power, referring to God as it, and what else?
Lots of platitudes.
Yeah, lots of platitudes, lots of shallow answers.
And some of them may or may not be
right
beneficial.
Right.
They certainly aren't the instructions.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why don't you read the part in chapter 5, and this is on page 58 of the third edition. And so, other than the original manuscript in the first edition, the wording has not changed. And I'm going to when we go back over this, I'm going to mention some of the wording that was in the original manuscript. So,
Okay.
But why don't you read the part up to the point where the last sentence, we ask his protection and care with complete abandon, and stop there. So read from rarely to that.
Okay. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program, usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God, may you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. You want me to go on,
No, we'll stop there. Okay, good. And then it goes on to read the steps, the 12 steps,
right?
Which are that's for another show. Okay, so let's unpack this thing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take this first part, and there is one word in this first part that was changed, and it was changed from the word path. From the word directions to the word path. Okay, and it says, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And the original manuscript said, who has thoroughly followed our directions. Okay. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. And then it says who those people are. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. The reason it says usually is because it means that not always are they constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves, i.e. mental illness. Mm-hmm. Because usually the other cases are people that will not be honest with themselves. And there are people that just won't.
Right. And may I say something, Mark?
Yeah, you bet.
People who are defiant and belligerent that can be honest with themselves, mm-hmm. but choose not to be and they completely turn their backs. Yeah. So I think there are those types of people.
And the rooms are filled with them.
Yes.
And my question that I pose mm-hmm. is, if you're not willing to work the 12 steps, follow the same path, or take the directions, what in the world are you doing in a 12-step fellowship?
There is no purpose. The whole 12-step fellowship is based on the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And let's see. I came there not to everybody to have a shouting match and for people to be right and somebody wrong, but to follow the directions in the big book. And I came there because I was suffering in pain, mm-hmm. and I wanted a way out. And I didn't want to drink anymore because drinking was killing me. And so I knew that I either had to take some action. I wasn't familiar with the 12-step program too much,
right,
when I first got there, but I knew I had to take some action, and I was very foggy when I got there, and and then after I got kind of the fog lifted, I was able to follow the directions more. I wasn't really belligerent because I had the pain in front of me, and it was very in front of me, and I knew that I would die. Death would come. To me, I think in my personal story, I was very sensitive enough enough when I was out there drinking. I can't imagine putting alcohol in my body when I'm sober, when I'm without drinking. So, what's the purpose? To get well, to have sanity, to have joy in life, and then or be miserable. And those are the two options that alcoholics of the hopeless variety have. So,
right. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Everybody has a different need in the 12-step program. Some people walk in that are not the alcoholic of the hopeless variety,
right?
That have different needs, and because they're able to quit if something like comes up, like a romantic relationship, or their family wants them to quit, or they realize that they're dying, they can quit. And they have no problem. Is the people who have the most problem quitting are the alcoholics of the hopeless variety, because the alcohol has taken the addiction. I'm sorry, the addiction, whatever addiction is, has taken so much control of the person that their willpower is very little, and the only thing that will get them out of that is a psychic change and God changing them.
Right, because they're unable to do it.
Right, they're unable to do it on their own power.
Yeah.
Right.
And you really said it well. To have joy back in your life, to do all this. And if you look at the foreword to the first edition, it says what this thing is all about. It's to show other alcoholics,
right,
not heavy drinkers, not alcohol abusers, the people you were talking about.
Right.
Not the people that just need to grow up,
right,
get some basic life skills and be okay.
Okay.
But alcoholics, people of the hopeless variety you were talking about, that have the obsession of the mind, which means that when they're sober, they can't stay that way.
Right.
And they have the allergy of the body. And that means that they've lost control of how often or how much they drink.
Right.
Excuse me. So it says the purpose of this book is to show the alcoholics precisely, and this is in italics, precisely how we have recovered.
Right.
Not how we stay in recovery.
Right.
Not how we white knuckle our way through life, but how we have recovered.
Right.
Why is that a bone of contention with people? Well, I'm not recovered. If I said I was recovered, I may go back out and drink. Aren't those people that don't know the literature?
Yes.
Usually that say that? Most
definitely.
Yeah.
It outright says it in the big book that we have recovered. That the obsession goes away. You don't think about alcohol anymore, or whatever addiction it is.
Right.
And it's not on your mind all the time. Maybe there's temptations and stuff like that, but
it's not obsessive.
It's not obsessing. It's and when you think about the temptation, it's repulsive. When you think about drinking, you can get to that point where it's repulsive. I forgot where else in the big book it is, but somebody says, I don't know if it's Dr. Bob, that says even if I don't think it's Dr. Bob, but somewhere else in the big book it says even if he could drink, he wouldn't.
Oh, right,
yes,
right.
Somewhere else,
yeah.
Just to paraphrase it, and
he wouldn't drink even if he could.
Because his way of life was so great.
Yeah,
was so joyful and recovered. Just because I'm recovered doesn't mean I can't. I can put alcohol in my body. The obsession of the allergy of the body and the obsession of the mind kicks back in.
Yeah, because the allergy, from what we can gather, the allergy remains.
Right.
We have an allergic reaction
right.
to it.
Right.
I may not obsess over chocolate anymore, but if I eat it, I'll break out.
Mm-hmm.
But the obsession is removed. The obsession is lifted, therefore recovered.
Right. Recovered and completely sane. We can live a sane life.
Yeah.
And I think, the allergy of the body remains, so we can rely on a higher power, God. That God gives us a weakness as
a gift.
As
we
a
talked
gift.
about that this morning.
As a
you and I
gift,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, some people it's alcoholism, some people it's diabetes, some people it's cancer. Sometimes we have to learn the hard way. I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't have to learn the hard way anymore. Today it's a choice if I want to learn the hard way, and I don't want to take suggestions from other people. And so the chances, to live one day at a time, recovered. Yes, we need to live one day at a time, but we need to find out. We need to tell ourselves that we can't ever drink ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Like somewhere else, it says we need to concede to our innermost selves that we're alcoholics and can never drink again. I have conceded to my own self that I can never put alcohol in my body.
You're done
again.
for good and for
I'm
all.
done because
Yeah.
I was in such pain that I don't know about anybody else, but I can't do it. God bless those who the alcoholics of the hopeless variety, and even people who aren't alcoholics of the hopeless variety but choose not to quit and are ruining their life. Some people can drink, and I think the majority of people can drink, as a matter of fact.
Seems to be that way.
Seems to be that way, yeah.
We're in the minority.
We're in the minorities. When we're hanging out with people who are drinking and nobody else, we always think that everybody drinks or uses drugs or is dysfunctional, but it's really not that way, because we'd be in deep trouble if everybody was drinking and causing problems.
Yeah. Okay, it goes on to explain a little bit more about who we're talking about when it comes to those who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. So this tells me, and it's interesting because Bill W., he was a wordsmith.
Right.
He understood very, very clearly that people learn by repetition, but people won't listen to you if you say the same thing over and over and over again. So how do you solve that? By saying the same thing in a different way.
Right.
So he goes on to repeat himself. He says, there are such unfortunates, referring to the people that are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are not at fault. They seems a big word, they appear to be, to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living. Now, the original wording says a way of life, which demands rigorous honesty, because a healthy way of life demands rigorous honesty.
Right.
It does. That's one type of person. Then there's the next one. It says their chances are less than average. And then there's the next one. There are those too. This is another group who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. These are people that are mentally ill.
Right.
The person prior to that seems to have born that way, it doesn't mean they were. It means that the rest of us look at them and go, man, were they born like that?
Yeah.
They just don't seem to care. They don't have a conscience. They just lie, and they're compulsive. And we're not talking about the mentally ill here.
Or they're belligerent on purpose. Yeah.
Right. We're not talking about those who suffer from mental illness here.
Right.
We're talking about the rebellious stick-in-the-muds that appear to have been born that way.
Right.
They are not at fault, and I will suggest that the reason they're saying that is because a lot of this has to do with, we've all known kids. We go, I don't blame the kid.
Right.
I blame the parent. So this guy isn't at fault. He was raised like this. He was raised around this belligerency. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to conform.
Right.
And so their chances are less than average unless they change. But
and we can have more compassion on that.
Yeah.
If we think about that.
Yeah, we need
It's
to.
It's hard to, when somebody's flat out belligerent, to to have mercy on that, to have compassion on that.
It is. Yeah. But then there are those who literally have emotional and mental disorders that back then particularly we couldn't even hardly address. Today with medications and therapy, it's getting better. But then it says this one word. This word tends to cancel out everything before that. And that's the word but. So when I say to you, Marco, I love and appreciate you, but what I'm saying is, what I just said really isn't true. In this case, what it's saying is there is an exception. Even with these folks, okay, many of them do recover. No, doesn't say stay in recovery.
Right.
Do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. So, yes, it seems like they don't.
Yes.
But here it's kind of giving you a glimmer of hope. Maybe they could.
Right.
And that is a job left up to God.
Yes, it is. And we do the footwork, and God takes care of the results.
Right.
And but we do it to glorify God. And I'll just share this briefly. I have mild bipolar disorder. When I came in, I wasn't belligerent, but I was so foggy that I couldn't work the steps right away. And I love how it says, like you were reading, Monty, it gives you hope. It gives people hope.
It does.
Grave means very serious.
Very serious.
Yes, emotional, mental disorders. But many of them, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah, not all of them. Do recover like you said.
Yeah.
Have the obsession gone, if they have the capacity to be honest. Rigorous honesty. We live an honest lifestyle. We don't lie, cheat, and steal anymore. We're honest with ourselves as best as we can, and we're honest with the steps. We're honest with others. We're honest to God, and probably the most important one, because God knows what we're going through anyways. So He knows our every being. So we don't have to lie to Him. And I just think that's such a glimmer of hope.
It is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Because the tendency in 12-step support meetings is to read that going, these people that are fortunate and sorry about your luck.
Yeah,
that's not what it's saying.
Yeah.
It's saying even in these grave cases, there is hope there.
Right.
There is hope. Why? Not because of us, but because of our Creator.
Right.
Okay. And then it goes on to say, our stories. What stories? It's referring to the stories in the back of the book. Okay. And for the listeners that don't know, the first part of the book is there's some description of the medical viewpoint of alcoholism, and then there is the directions on how to apply and implement this program. The second part of the book is the personal stories of people who've done that.
Right.
And we're instructed at the very beginning of the book, before we ever take the instructions, to read those stories to see if we can identify with any of those.
Right.
That's instructed in here. So it says, our stories disclose in a general way, and the reason it says general is because they didn't have enough. This thing would be so huge, this book.
Right.
So, they hit on the most important points. Disclose in a general way what we used to be like. There it is again. Recovered. What we used to be like.
Before recovery.
Yeah. Past tense.
Right.
Okay. What happened and what we are like now. Used to be and now. And everything in between. Go ahead.
I think some people just spend I've seen some people spend most of their time on their war stories when they're sharing, like at a speaker meeting.
Yeah.
And other people just focus on just the recovery. And I think there needs to be a medium there.
Sure there does.
And, if I just tell my past story, it's not giving any hope. But someone who hasn't, and on the other hand, somebody who hasn't done the steps, they don't understand. Yes, there needs to be the program of recovery, but people need to be able to relate. So that's what I think.
Yeah,
happy medium.
Yeah. You bet. Okay. Let's take our last break, and when we come back, let's see what it tells us to do after we've read those stories. We'll be right back, my friends. More with Marco and myself and the beginnings of Chapter 5 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, How It Works. We'll be right back.
Hey, did you hear the one about the bear named Ben in the bar in Boise and his friend Barney who bent over backwards trying to help Ben avoid another bender? Well, the good news is both Ben the bear and his friend Barney now watch the new recovery television show Time to Heal with, no, not Betsy, but with Pam. That's right. It's Time to Heal with Pam, breaking the chains of addiction. To find out how you can tune into this beneficial broadcast, visit Take12radio.com and click on the Recovery TV link. That's Take12radio.com and click on the Recovery TV link to find out how you can view Time to Heal with Pam. And pat Ben the bear and his friend Barney on the back, would you?
I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all.
Ella Fitzgerald with that iconic song, I Get a Kick Out of You. And you know, it's interesting because that word kick back then, it literally meant to alter your state of consciousness. You know,
I didn't know that.
What do you do for kicks? What do you do? And in fact, Paul Revere and the Raiders came out with a song that was about kicks. You know, and it was rated as one of the most iconic songs of all time. And so there was a powerful meaning behind kick. I mean, you think about it. When somebody kicks you, I mean, really kicks you, it alters your state of consciousness, man.
Right.
If you're sitting down on the porch or something like that, and somebody comes up behind you and kicks you in the head,
you'll be focusing on that kick, on the pain.
You bet.
Everything.
You bet. Okay. So, and by the way, and I failed to do this, and forgive me, Therapia, but Take 12 Trivia this week was sponsored by Therapia Addiction Healing Centers out of the Red Rock state of Utah. Visit their website at therapia.net. And this portion of the show is sponsored by the folks at BroadHighwayRecovery.com. And Sam and the gang there, they're just tremendous folks. Please check out their website. Any of the sponsors that we advertise here on the show, these are treatment facilities and organizations that treat the whole person. They're not just clinical. They're not just spiritual. They're not just nutrition. They're the whole being. We won't take on a sponsor or an advertiser who doesn't do that. Right. It's a waste of time. And so everybody that does, you can be assured they treat the whole person. So check out BroadHighwayRecovery.com on their website. Okay, so it says, our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. Wow, that's a loaded word. If you have decided, that requires a commitment. Okay, if you have decided you want, see how we're unpacking this? Mm-hmm. If, conditional, you have decided, commitment, you want, desire, what we have, not what we had, not what we're trying to accomplish, what we have. Have, possession. If you want what we have and are willing, that's desire again, to go to any length to get it. In other words, let's don't argue about this, that, or the other thing. I'm ready to be open to what you suggest. Okay, then you are ready to take certain steps. The original manuscript says, then you are ready to follow directions.
Right.
Okay, so again, I ask the question. If you're at this point right here, and you're not if you don't have that desire to want with the people, the stories in the book, the people, how they've changed, if you don't want that,
keep your own life. Keep your old life.
What are you doing in a 12-step fellowship?
Right.
If you don't want to work the 12 steps,
Right.
you're welcome to the open meeting, have some coffee, chit-chat, but please don't interrupt.
Right. And back in the old days, I don't think they worked with him. Dr. Bob and all them didn't work with him if they didn't mean business.
No, they didn't.
So they didn't.
They would qualify you. They would
Yes.
find out where you were. I mean,
Right.
are you an alcoholic of the hopeless variety, or are you a heavy drinker?
Right.
If you're a heavy drinker, welcome.
Yes.
But if you're alcoholic of the hopeless variety, welcome, and let's get to work.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Okay, so then it says, at some of these we balked. So he's identifying. He's saying, I get it. I understand that you can have a desire to do this, you really want to, but you're kind of going, I don't know, I get that. We're not being committed to doing this, wanting it, desiring it, and willing to be honest doesn't mean it doesn't come without some hesitation. We understand that. He's saying, I get that. There's so much compassion in this man.
Right.
At some of these, we balked. We get it. We thought, there it goes again. We thought, and someday I'll explain why think is upside down on my wall. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not.
Yeah.
All right. In the original, it says, we doubt if you can. Doesn't mean you can't, but we doubt if you can. So he's saying, look, we know you're going to try. I'll tell you right now, even though you're committed, even though you want this, we're going to prophesy that you're probably going to try to skirt this thing.
Right.
We understand that, but we're still willing to work with you if you have the willingness and the desire. That's all it takes in the beginning.
Right.
It says, with all our earnestness. So he's begging you. He's pleading you with all our earnestness at our command. We beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. See, because if you're fearless, if you're thorough, and I'm talking about the thorough working of the fourth step, I'm talking about step one. Right. If you're thorough and fearless from the beginning, you are going to avoid all sorts of pitfalls.
Right.
So yes, we get it. You're probably going to try and find an easier, softer way, but let me tell you, if you can avoid that and be thorough and fearless before we even crack this book open, you're going to do well.
Right.
And then he goes on to say again, he's repeating himself again, trying to get it through our head. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas. What's he saying? Yeah, we balked. We wanted to take the easier, softer way. See how he's repeated himself but used different words? I love this guy. So we tried, man. We tried to hold on to our old ideas. About what? About everything. About God. About creation. About research. About disease. About moral issues. About family. About friends. About ourselves. We tried to hold on to the things we thought were right. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Some of those things we were right.
Yeah.
But we can't hold on to those right now because we don't know which ones those are.
And they're not working for us anymore. They're just getting us in more pain.
Right.
Right.
Because we're trying to recover by holding on to an idea,
right,
not by applying the principles that will help us recover.
Right. And maybe going back, chasing about that elusive, the first drink and how you...
Right.
Because I think the alcoholics of the hopeless variety didn't start out, I mean, yes, they started out maybe drinking tons, but it was fun at very first.
It was working. It was a solution.
But then the will completely, it took over the will of the person.
Yeah, you bet.
Where they couldn't, near impossible to quit.
So some of us had tried to do this. And then he says, but let me tell you, the result was nil. In other words, nothing.
Right.
Nothing positive came of this until, it's another word for but, until we let go absolutely, completely,
right,
without abandon. We just let go. We said, okay. And let me tell you something, brother. This was so hard for me because I was a born-again Christian. I didn't just believe, I knew who God was in my life. And my sponsor said, I know you think you know. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but put it in a box and let me hold on to it for a while.
Right.
Now, he wasn't arguing with me. He wasn't telling me to give up my God. Please, people of faith, don't think that's what the program of AA is trying to do. They're not.
Right.
Maybe some people in the fellowship are. They're not. What they're trying to do is get you to be willing to be open-minded enough to explore some things that maybe you never considered before.
And maybe even, the last gaspers that they were talking about.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to hold on to their old ideas. People who have cirrhosis some people who have cirrhosis will still think they're not alcoholics. That's insane. That's insanity.
That is insanity.
Yeah, poor people. Amen that there is a solution.
Yeah.
But a lot of people die of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bet. You bet.
Because they hold on to their old ideas.
Now, he starts a new paragraph here. And it's interesting because no sooner has he finished with this whole sentiment of, you're going to try and skirt this thing. We tried it too, but that won't work. No sooner has he said that when he starts to repeat himself again. Because we don't get it unless we hear it. He goes, remember.
Right.
Remember. Remember what? The original says that you. In this edition, it says that we deal with alcohol. Okay, now we're talking right now. We're not talking about alcoholism yet. We're talking about the substance alcohol. If this is addressing the heavy drinker, not the true alcoholic that's allergic, then why would he say alcohol? It doesn't have any, it's not an issue because alcohol for the non-alcoholic is not an issue. Their issue is grow up. For the alcoholic, it's grow up, it's the alcohol, and it is the isms that go with it. And it goes into that deeper as we work the steps. So remember, you guys, we're dealing with alcohol. And this is what alcohol is for you and I. The alcoholic.
Right.
It's cunning. It's baffling. Because it's confusing. We don't get it. We don't understand why is this doing this to me. And it's very powerful. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Is it for the non-alcoholic? No.
No.
So he's talking to the alcoholic. And then here it is. Here it is, man. Without help, it's too much for us. So if you are an alcoholic of the hopeless variety and you're trying to do this thing on your own, well, good luck. Because without help, our experience has been, without help, it's too much.
And very few, I think it says very few people have been able to combat it that have been of the hopeless variety. I think Bill Wilson, I'm not trying to, most of us have to work the program and do the steps. But there have been exceptions, very rare exceptions to the rule. Mm-hmm. But the majority of the people have to work the steps and do the program. Yeah. I think Bill Wilson's grandfather was able to quit. Obviously, the steps weren't around before Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson's grandfather was around, but he did have a psychic change, and I think he just went to a revival, and he was able to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's
they were called the odds steps, but it
the
was
odds are
like
one in more than that, 1 in 5 billion, or even more than that.
Yeah, you bet. Now, here's something that's really interesting. You hear people in 12-step support meetings say, well, if it wasn't for the group, if it wasn't for my sponsor, if it was blah, 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 they think that is the help we're talking about, and it's not.
No.
It says, so when I say you can't do this by yourself, I'm not talking about your sponsor, your best friend, the meeting, all that stuff. All that stuff's all good. It's a piece of the pie and the whole thing. What he goes on to explain what that help is. He says, without help, it is too much for us. So if he just left us there, we'd be doomed.
Yeah.
Here's that word again. But. Meaning what? That there is help. Right. We're canceling out without help, and we're changing it to there is help. But there is one, capital O, one, mono, singular, who has all power. And then he says who it is. That one is God. So if you're having a problem with God, think about how all the problems he's having with you.
Right.
That one is God. So from the very beginning, sorry, it's going to tell you that. And
That's the only way.
It talks about, we're going to talk about God.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about who that is and all that stuff later, but right now we're just going to tell you, we're going to be talking about the creator of the universe. Okay? That's who has all power. That's the one you need the help from. It is not going to come from another human being. That one is God. And in the original manuscript, it says, you must find him now. Doesn't mean that you grow in a perfect relationship right now. But it means you've got to make that connection before we even get to step 1. People think they do it at step 3.
Right.
You've got to have a place of willingness to develop some kind of relationship, even at your minimal understanding, with the supreme being of the universe.
And it's an emergency.
It's an emergency.
It's a complete emergency. Or else death. It could be death.
Yeah.
And most likely insanity or death.
So people say, well, I can't find him now because I'm not willing.
Right.
Well, we're not talking about people that aren't willing. We're talking about people that aren't willing. If you're not willing, you better pray to be willing, because we can't go on from here. Do I have to understand? Do I have to go to church? Do I have to believe in Jesus? Do I have to believe in this or that? No, you know, it doesn't matter where you start from.
It's a starting point.
Wherever you start from is fine, but it cannot be a human power. That means it can't be a human philosophy, such as some certain Eastern philosophies, and it's very popular right now within AA circles and NA circles and so forth. This whole Eastern thing of the the whole self-awareness and all that, and that stuff may be healthy and good and everything, but it is not a power greater than human. It's not. Most of those doctrines even say so. So don't call it AA. Call it something else. That's fine. Work your own program, but please don't say it's AA, because AA says God. Period. Right. And then he goes on, and he's going to really hit you in between the eyes. He says, half measures availed us nothing.
Half measure is the whole lie. I've heard that before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. We stood at the turning point. So you are in complete desperation here. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection, not its, not hers, not theirs. His, capital H. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But that's the AA program. You can't argue with what it says. It says what it says. Don't agree with it. Fine. Don't like it. Don't apply it that way. That's your choice. But you can't say it's saying something else. It's right there in black and white. You want to change it? Go to the World Service Office. But for now, that's what it says. We asked his protection and care. Again, he uses the word abandon, and he says complete. That's the start. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to figure it out. You just ask. God, I don't know who you are. I don't even know if I believe in you. But I am just going to act as if and say, you know what? Okay.
The pain is so great, I'm done, Lord. God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I might say, again, to the chagrin of some of my brothers and sisters of faith, if that is a fence post for you right now, I would rather that be the case than you not be willing to believe in anything. Anything is acceptable to make a beginning, but you have got to at least say, I can't. I don't have that ability. Fence post is not a power greater than yourself, but at least you're starting to get the inclination that it's got to be something that's not you. And that's all right. Yes. Because I think as we go through this process of recovery, we come to a crossroads where we are introduced to the Creator, and we have to make a decision. And that goes into our relationship. Right now, we're making a recognition. We're recognizing that it's not us, that only a power greater than ourselves is going to restore us to sanity. Later, we develop a relationship. It doesn't come right away. And for me, Marco, that relationship developed as a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps.
Amen.
And we were out of time.
Oh, I could talk about forever about this. It's beautiful programming.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So maybe after you go back to Arizona, I better get you on the phone and we can maybe continue this discussion.
I would be very happy to do that.
Wouldn't that be fun?
But you probably got sick and tired of me right now.
No, I'm not sick and tired of you. All right, we're going to leave everybody hanging at that point right there. And join us next week because I'm going to continue this. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet and with who. Maybe it'll be Marco. Maybe we'll get Marco on the phone with Nathan. And maybe Bruce will be here. But we're going to continue the discussion in how it works. So, folks, until our next broadcast, this is Marco Ronzi and the Monty Man, and we're wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
When it all came crashing down, there was only darkness all around, but in the distance I could see a flame. There's so much more to living in your world. Savior, what you did for me. You gave me something I want everyone to see. When we stumble and it all goes wrong, only you can make it right. So I say, I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Be the light.
Kitty, 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 kitty.